one, thank you for putting it together, because it was nice to go through this and look at all the different ways that we've looked at it. I guess it's the 3 bullets you have at the top of page 2.
Okay.
And
Nobody objects if we have Commissioner Sauer Lex sit at the table. If you want, I mean, you don't have to sit. It may be more comfortable there, but
It'll just help me write.
let's say you might be able to hear better. Does anybody object?
Nope.
Gary, do you want this? You want a copy of this? I don't know. That's what I mean.
I have.
Oh, okay.
This is James.
I'm glad you typed in big print, too. What is that, 13 font?
We're friendly.
14 font?
Yeah. You're exactly right.
You've been watching me
in bold.
look
Bold
through
and
these, right?
14.
and actually, just the economic development thing is such a big title thing as a goal, and I know that is a goal. And I guess when I look back through some of them, I guess when we say that, I guess I'm asking, are you expecting us to give you what we should be doing to?
We can define that more from what you all present today if you want. If you've got more specific expectations. We definitely want to
Because
get those
some of the
things.
smaller ones, it said assess city real estate holdings and evaluate future needs. When we was talking about line items, so maybe that's just the overall big title, and then we're going to look at some ways to do that, to accomplish that. We talked about empty buildings and that kind of stuff. So I just wondered if that's what that meant. Because I was looking at all the different goals from
That
last
was
year.
just a broad goal set for us last year, is to keep that in mind for the budgeting process, is to have, so one of the things we did do was put the historic preservation grant program in place. The staff has been working on a TIF district since March or so of this year, so it was just a broad brush statement, and if the commission wants to define it any further, that would be just fine.
No, I like it. I'm being hit when you're out there just walking around about basically downtown, the empty buildings on Main Street. And I just don't see a lot. I said that I recognize them, and we have some people that, many groups are, giving their opinions and ideas of what can be done, and the city's aware of it also. And also, I'm aware that we talked about how many buildings the city owns, and we haven't been very good at getting, being able to move them. And I'm just wondering if that's where all that is.
One thing too on the economic development area, we put in the budget just some money in case that other groups within the city wanted to support us. Is that liaison person? We put a $20,000 in there, I think, for that. So that was one thing on that we did last year when he did the budget. Of course, we were waiting to see if other, like the plant board and the county was going to participate.
And the only other one is not a question. These are the Historic Preservation Improvement Program. Is that the one?
Yes. It's the one we had $10,000 grants available, and the loan program, but the loan program did not have the interest that the grant program did. It was an interest buy down of $5,000.
That was a good deal. I'm not.
Thank you. I'm finished with page 2, so if somebody else has something on page 2.
Anybody else? Commissioner Roach? Is that your hand? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Steve, looking at the goals and those kind of things, and the departmental goals as well, and then the goals that we had. I think there's the good thing about starting now is you can get a jump on it, and we're not doing it at the end. The bad thing about starting now is we've not gotten together and come up with goals for the 2015 budget. They may change. They may be more like they were the first year. We all served together, or fewer like they were the second year. I'd say we'll end up with the more. But so my guess is that from a goal standpoint, that those will probably be modified or changed in January whenever we sort of meet with that as our purpose. So that was just sort of a comment. which is why I don't have much of a questions on the goals, because I'm figuring they may change. And then the second question I had is, there'll be a later date as you all go through the process, the departmental goals and the things they're wanting to do new, better, those kind of things. Those things tend to narrow down over time, usually. Is that accurate?
That's true. We usually have a meeting between the city manager, finance director, and departments, and we do that in the middle of March. That's when we really start to hone in on.
So I guess what I'm going to say is, another comment for my question is, I'm going to hold off saying things that we maybe can't afford or we maybe need to do, knowing that that may change a little bit between now and then. On the personnel cost, we're at 69.9%. Is that right?
Yeah, that's where our budget.
That's
where
where
we ended up with our budget. Yeah, yes, sir.
So is that where we are, like right now, on budget to actual, or is that where we finished up last year?
I haven't looked. I'm sure we've got some open positions, so I don't know. I don't know where we are. We're going to be getting at the midpoint of the year, and I'm going to give you where we're standing at the midpoint. So that'll be in January, early January. I'll kind of refine where we are.
So right now we're somewhere around 69.9% of
yeah, I'd say
expenditures.
69, 70%.
And then the reason why the revenue number is so much lower is because we had that big revenue come in when we took that out of the that couple of million we took,
Yeah, we had some money come. We had some money come in,
which artificially lowered it, right?
Yeah, and I had to push it back out.
Okay. So that's why that number's so big a gap between the revenue was like 64% or 65, and then this one was 60. Well, then I guess having said all of that, the only thing that I'm really concerned about is the same thing I'm always concerned about, which is to make sure that we hold our personnel cost expenditures. We're at 69.9%. I'd like to hold them constant or get them down a little bit. That's where the money is.
Savings. That's where
the money is.
Yep, that's where our savings usually is. And we'll end up. Well, typically we've been ending up anywhere from $500,000 to $750,000 less than our budget. That's where we've been typically ending up. Since I've been here, is when it's typically.
Is there anything and I looked at that and have asked you a few questions about it. Is there anything in the year-to-date numbers that we've gotten so far that we need to know about, or that look crazy, or it all looked pretty simple?
It's pretty. We're staying pretty much with our budget and where we were last year. Like I say, if we take that premium tax out, we're laying right pretty much with our budget. Now we've got a little bit of growth, maybe about 1%, 1.5% in occupational tax. But we budgeted for that, so that's about what kind of.
So
growth
we're still not seeing any economic pickup to any extent in the community, based on revenues coming into us the last 2 years.
Yeah, not what I've seen, other than just what we expected to realize as a result of raising
the state getting the raise,
occupational tax,
and the raise in occupational tax, but you've not seen any.
Yeah, now we're going to get some pickup, I suppose, when the raises go into effect at the state, but that hasn't been realized yet. But we're going to get some pickup there, I would say.
Okay. Thank you.
Maybe $150,000, maybe $200,000 of pickup there.
And this summer, right? On the river,
Yes.
probably, right?
Yeah. I mean, we typically get some pickup, I would say, but I don't know, what that. I can't define what the number's going to be.
I was curious. I don't see anything from the sewer department or police. Unless it's there, I'm just not seeing it.
It's not there. We just got those solicited
Okay.
a couple of times. So we'll probably still be getting those in.
I just wanted to
We'll pass them on.
Yeah,
Are we missing anybody else?
I will say, police chief, he's got some goals and objectives, but he was out last week, and so he got with me on that, and one of his goals and objectives is, the presentation he's going to be making later on this evening. That was one of his goals that he wanted to put in here, but we were past that point, so I just didn't have time to get it.
No,
get
that's
it
fine.
back
I
to
just
you
wanted to
guys.
be sure that I didn't miss a page or something, because it said 3 or 4, but I wanted to make sure maybe
Yeah, these are the goals and objectives for the.
next year.
I should have put that general fund, so
You
we
did.
typically haven't hit.
You had FY16 and stuff.
Well, on page
Oh,
3, the one that under fire, the next to the last bullet, are we phasing that out? It says there's this 6-liter diesel engine that was the subject of a class action lawsuit. If we have those kind of vehicles around, hopefully we're phasing them out.
Yes, sir, we are. I believe you have one that
Okay, maybe that's the one they're talking about, the 2002.
phase it out, replace it.
Recalls.
Thank you, Mayor. During the budget public hearing, there was a question raised at one point about the cost of living increase, and they wanted some dialogue early on to have some input. Commissioner Roach, I think you may have mentioned
Ask
that.
it every year, yes, sir.
Well, my recommendation, just based on, and we don't have the numbers yet, but based on what we know so far, how we finished the fiscal year, I will be looking to put 2.5% or better into the cost of living for our staff. So, you may have wanted some dialogue on that.
I don't. What I don't want us to do, because I'm not prepared to say whether I'm what I'm for. But one thing I do know is I don't want to promise people something and then have to vote on it where it's already a done deal for the most part. So I don't want the train to have left the station and everybody thinking that they're getting that, and then it's sort of we've already promised, and promise is too strong a word, but we've already kind of made a pretty strong tentative commitment, and most people, regardless of what the budget is, won't pull back from that.
We have a lot of work to do on our budget. We have to see where we're going to be at financially. We'll have to look at our staff numbers, et cetera, but my thinking, I'm just suggesting right now, my thinking is back to that 2.5%.
Do we know? I looked at the. Went back and found the spreadsheet. I think for the last one that I saw, the projects from the sewer department going out to 2040. Are we still? Do we know if any of those projects are going to move sooner or later? I know the big issue that we had was being able to do the work within certain restrictions of time. So we do know what the big projects will be this year, in the next fiscal year, right?
Yeah, I don't want to speak for
I don't know.
Mr. Scalf. I don't see him here, but he is working on a futures project, and we work very closely with Mr. Pennington from our financial perspective and what our rate structure at today's 5 o'clock meeting. There will be the first reading of an ordinance to establish a 2.5% January 1. That will be consistent on top of the cost of living, or the CPI, I should say, for July 1 of each year. So at this point, I feel fairly comfortable that we are lining up our project to be consistent with our consent judgment.
Okay. Just there was a lot of
I'm with you, Mayor.
infrastructure needs on there.
I think I to go along with what the city manager's talking about. I think we asked for the list of future projects to go along with that thing we had at the last meeting. And then don't they, maybe you remember, doesn't the sewer usually, sometime in this March or April, don't they come and present their whole, if you remember their budget with with the new spreadsheet and all that we went?
It's usually around.
Yeah, mid-April, he'll come back with the projects. He's got a list of about almost $100 million worth of projects, that's going on this consent item here. Yeah, he'll come back with detail.
And then what is the increase in the additional increase in the sewer bill effective July 1st will be whatever the CPI is for 2014, correct?
That's correct.
and I think that language is may add to the current 2.5%, but I think we planned on adding it based on the numbers we need.
Our financial projections show us needing both.
Okay.
There's a combination of 4% per year for the next 5 years is what our consultant
Kind of what I thought.
working with Mr. Scout, working with
That's
Mr.
what I
Ross.
remembered. Okay.
The only other question I had on the station updates, those are Station 3 bathrooms? Station 2 bathrooms?
The bathrooms for female dorm and bathroom each station.
And that's what both of those numbers reflect, both of those, and nothing, is there anything else in there? Like updates?
To my knowledge, it's what.
Okay, that's what I was saying, because I was trying to think anything else that we need. I figured it was for those facilities.
And I did notice on page 4, it says hire consultant services. They said every 5 years we do a comprehensive plan, and this is the year. And who else contributed to that? I think it was $40,000 our part.
I didn't hear what you were asking.
I think it's over here. I'm looking over the wrong shoulder. Got a stiff neck.
And it's city and county both share the cost if a consultant is utilized by the planning commission. 5 years ago, they had staffed it. We didn't hire anybody. So we haven't started that process yet. The planning commission will create a committee, and then we'll share with them, but we've got to budget something to, should they say yes, we want a consultant.
Did you ever see the 5-year projection? I thought that was good. So I wanted to make sure when it started.
Yes, sir.
Can I piggyback
Sure.
on that? So, if the plan commission says yes, we could still say no about the money, right?
Yes.
Okay.
As long as they can absorb the cost through their budget, which they don't have. They really couldn't.
That's your budget, right?
No,
No,
that's the
it's
planning
okay.
commission.
Okay.
They have their own budget.
So how did they pay for it 5 years ago?
They just had staff did it all in the house. We
Okay.
didn't hire anybody.
Gotcha. So you could do that.
We could do that, yes.
You're not, obviously not thinking that's the best idea, based on your
It took
expression.
us almost 5 years to complete the 5-year update.
That was speedy.
We had meetings every month for 3 years. It was intense.
It's a character builder.
Yes.
But part of that would be due to staffing problems, correct? Having to keep up with the daily demands.
Well, in 2006, I believe it was, 2006 when we started, the intent was that it would just be a update, mild update, not a full rewrite. And a mild update took us 4 years to get through all the hearings, and then we finished up to get the actual document out. So,
Because that's not like we want to do that again.
not sure what the committee's going to decide. It'll be up to the committee to recommend you all and the county. If they'll say no, then it'll run on staff. Good idea. Now what they can do, the planning commission has options. They can just adopt it as is and say there is no update. And the update is the way it is. But I doubt they'll do that. We didn't adjust any of the population numbers last time. I don't know what it is. But we start January 3 committee.
Okay. And you'll just keep us composed.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But if I don't budget the money, then there is no options. I'd better do that than ask for a budget amendment.
And the county, do we know if the county was willing to?
I shared it with them, what I'm doing. I don't know what they have or haven't done. We'll plan to do in February. Both of them, February is when we submit everything to Tim and Steve, the department heads. And in March, they tax. I would guesstimate is that costs about $8,000 to $100,000. I think that's what I would. So it'll be half.
Just wondering what Commissioner Jabez Sauer got the packet too. So if he's got any ideas about this, I would like to hear them so I can be thinking about them between now and the time that we all get together in January. If you have any ideas, if that's okay, Mayor.
Sure.
Any thoughts on this?
I appreciate that very much.
Just because the more time I have to think about anything that might be different, the better off.
Well, this is the first time I really
Okay.
saw this.
Okay.
I was going to ask the finance director if he would send me a copy of general emails that he sends, to the commission, so I can be brought up to speed real quick.
You know, what might be helpful too is the big spreadsheet on all the sewer projects. It had a timeline. I don't even know. Do you all have that?
It's in the budget
To the
package. He's got it in the budget package.
I was going to say, because I've got a big spreadsheet.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's a fold out.
Yeah.
I got that. It was part of that sewer budget.
Okay. So you want to just hold comments until you get a chance to look at it more?
Yeah, I'd rather.
He just got it just now, so it's not really.
He's sharp, but not this sharp.
That's okay.
The riverfront development recommendations, the 60 to 120,000. Do you have a breakdown on what those are?
The recommendations.
Or is it just because which ones this was? It says to bid and contract professional services to draft new regulations, to implement the concepts and incentives and recommendations. Or is that the 620,000 is the professional services to draft the regulations?
Yes, that would be to draft the regulations and to help facilitate the incentives that we're going to.
Because I was trying to figure out, because that seemed low for something that, for some of the riverfront development plans, but I thought, well, maybe it's just a portion, you know, like 40.
It is low.
That's what I was going to say. Like, which part are we doing?
We
there?
started this budgeting, requesting it 4+ years ago.
Okay.
And at that time, the consultant that drafted the riverfront redevelopment plan offered to do it at a discounted rate, and it was going to be shared, but it has yet to be funded.
Okay.
Current budget we're in now, you did allocate 20,000. But we haven't been able to come up with any other funding to.
That's why I wanted to ask, because I knew we had done that small bit for the plan, but I couldn't figure out if that's what that meant to increase the allotment for somebody to do the regulations and the drafting of that, or if this was for some element, because I was going to ask why that came under your department. But
It's creative zoning overlay, changing use.
no, that part I knew. It was like I was thought.
The incentives are broadband that were identified. And before you all had adopted it in 06-ish, whatever year that was, 09, whatever year it was adopted.
Oh, I was thinking it was 07, but maybe it was 06.
We sent it to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission wanted the incentives to be expanded not just to the riverfront, but citywide at that time. And so they never went beyond that. And, others were going to do presentations to the Planning Commission, but that never fruitioned either to try to make that happen. But I do have a list of the actual recommendations of incentives. There's a couple that would require changes to MICA. There's a couple that would require changes to the plant board rules and to the sewer rules to actually make the incentives work. They haven't, to my knowledge, been formally done.
Anybody else?
Okay.
There's no we're going to really change, I don't think, because we have most of this in here. It seems like these 2 years have gone by quickly.
They did. They went by quicker than the first 8 combined.
Yeah. And I looked down there and I
They did.
see Commissioner Luxauer and thinking, we've come full circle.
Well, as we go through our budgeting process, we'll adjust the sheet and then we'll come back and give you a finalized sheet of the specifics in the budget. Make sure that y'all are abreast. And then in the meantime, if y'all come up with anything that you want to add to this list, just let me know.
I just have a thing I'll throw out. about those little monitors to sit in front of us over in the chamber room? Since it looks like we're going paperless, it would be kind of nice to have the little monitors so when we're like in session doing votes, we could actually be watching. Would that be real expensive? Would the paperless pay for that? That'd be kind of
Talking
nice.
the total software package. We'd like to all have either monitors in front of you or even notes or laptops.
The little monitors that are just kind of like this, where wherever we are, we're scrolling along. You know, it would switch, like the mayor would switch, or whoever's in, you or the mayor would be like, would all be looking at the same thing. And we wouldn't have those papers shuffling up there, and Rob wouldn't be opening his mail because he would have to have a monitor in front of him too. That was just a joke. But it's like
Expensive is kind of a relative term.
it is. Well,
but
I just thought it would kind of be nice if we had a system like that. But if we could look in to see what that would cost.
Well,
You already have
Just
it.
so
They got
happens Ramona's-
$10,000
I
budget.
got $10,000 in there, but I have a feeling that that's maybe a third of it.
Oh, okay.
Well, I think the city clerk was talking about for records retention.
Oh.
It's a whole, you could
It's
do
a
a whole
whole thing,
system,
so-
and
You do a
by
whole-
the time you do the hardware and all that, you've got major bugs.
Well, I was wondering what something like that.
So
would
that's why I
cost.
haven't pursued it any further.
Because I would ask that kind of question.
No, because it's just a lot of money,
Okay.
and everybody has to be committed to paperless.
I mean, iPads are great. The thing is, like, you know, what I'm talking about would be monitored by a person, so people couldn't be sitting on their iPad doing something completely off base, like happens a lot when people have their own little individual equipment pieces.
Commissioner, you wouldn't do that during a meeting.
I see that happening in the classroom a lot, and I have to go back and check to see what they're doing on them. So, no, I would never do that, because I would be happy for one of them to scroll down, and show me where they want me to be reading.
Well, the legislature has a system
The court has a system.
that all the House members and all the Senate members have, and there's, but there is someone operating that is tied into what the House clerk or Senate clerk are doing.
Mhm.
Plus, they can also go off that system and research other items while they're on the floor.
It's definitely the direction we should be heading in, because, you know, this is a lot of money, the copies and stuff, you know, over and over and over again, over the years, to kind of page for itself.
Well, when I saw that, I'm like, we're still going to have paper. That just means we're going to print them at home. But I thought if the agenda were right in front of us on the screen as we're scrolling down, everybody could be on the same page with one of you two sending us there. You know, it'd be kind of nice. What do you think?
I think that when we have our goals meeting in January,
Yeah, that'd be
that
the
we
summer
could
talk
have
about.
this could be one of yours.
Well,
And
it's
we
just-
could and Ramona's, and we could explore it. Of course, you know, I like the word explore when I'm not sure which way I'm thinking.
Exactly.
But the problem I've noticed is in outfits where I've worked is we've attempted to do that, but I've never been anywhere that didn't end up doing both. So
That's
that
true.
you ended up having both things. So I think that's why you'd want to really study it, investigate whatever you were getting to make sure that you didn't end up just doing twice as. Clerk ended up doing twice as much work, and we ended up doing twice as much work.
Well, for example, when some of our presenters bring presentations, they don't have it in electronic format for us to see at that point, so it gets passed out at the meeting. We did, I think you might have been on the commission, we talked about this.
We did, not when I was.
And, for example, I think
You know, with something like that, I'm
I'm
sorry.
for it if it drives efficiency, and it'll save money over the long run.
Well,
if you do
with
it
something
right.
like that, you could actually do the edits that you're talking about with amendments right there in the real time, in the meeting itself, and get it all like, oh, this is fine before we actually close out the meeting and leave and then wait for a paper copy. I mean, it could be.
I mean, I
awesome.
would love electronic means. I know, like, when passing out the spreadsheets, the size of some of those spreadsheets may be difficult to. I think that was one of the things, unless you had a wide monitor, being able to get them to where they would be big enough.
Yeah.
I mean, but we'll look at it. Maybe we'll
Well,
get.
just to look at.
We'll just get a bigger
Further than last year.
meeting spot and just have a thing.
I think I poured cold water on
What did you say?
I think I
You
poured
did.
cold water on it last year. It
Did
didn't
you
go,
really?
it didn't get any further than the piece
No,
of
I
paper.
I said, well, whatever.
Further this time.
It was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
And see, the medical profession has gone there to electronic records. They had to, it became a law to do that.
I think there's just a learning curve. It just takes you a little while to get used to looking at it on a screen instead of holding a piece of paper in your hand.
Sometimes you do kind of feel good, I like to
I'm a
highlight.
slow learner.
If we had like
But you can highlight on
Right,
the,
you can.
yeah,
the
if you
screens.
get like a touchpad, you can
too.
still
Yeah.
highlight and you can. Some of them you can even draw right on, write figures. Because they may be 50% change and put a red arrow. It depends on what kind of technology you get. We can. So make that happen. Yeah.
Good job, Steve.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Very much for your input.
Yes, it does, yes.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Roach, seconded by Commissioner Bowers. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
I do.
Aye. Those opposed, like
Let
sign.
me write it down.
Why are you looking
Little
at
white
that?
eyes, but I think I have
Pardon
the
me?
majority.
I think you got it.
Thank you.